Another Friday afternoon, another gig for Heidi Everett. Today, she's at the atrium at Federation Square, performing at an Arts Access Victoria event. She will be playing her original songs, which come from a unique but difficult place within herself.
I have schizoaffective disorder, which means I hallucinate sounds, and music is my thing. So I decided I'd have a go at writing the music that I was hearing, and it worked.
Just like any other musician, she also does her pre-gig preparations before she goes on. But her circumstances mean she has a different set of challenges to overcome.
I struggle with paranoia and anxiety and waves of depression, so I guess cycling through those three things is my preparation.
Heidi is one of many musicians in the local music scene that deals with mental health issues, and she knows the struggle all too well.
To be a successful musician, you've got to be able to go out and see bands and be in the music world. And if you've got mental illness like depression and paranoia, you can't do that. You can't even go out the front door to get bread or milk. So, to go out and socialise in society around other musicians and around audiences, it's almost impossible.
Jason Kenner, a music therapist at Melbourne University, says it's difficult for those like Heidi because the local music industry isn't kind to musicians.
There's not a lot of work around. The sort of work where you can make good money isn't necessarily the work that you're being the most creative in. So if you're somebody who's writing your own music and performing your own music, those types of gigs tend to be ones that you don't get paid much or even at all.
Research was done recently to show the extent of the mental health problem in creative sectors, and it paints a grim picture for industries such as music.
We suffer from double the suicide rate, 10 times the incidence of anxiety, and 5 times the incidence of depression. So well above the national average.
But now that the facts are known, more efforts are being made by many people, in many ways, and in many places in mental health for musicians, so that the show continues to go on.
Make me stay here another night.
Heidi is once again about to perform, this time at a Mental Health Week launch event. Mental Health Week is something she takes very seriously.
Mental Health Week, the launch, to me is kind of like our birthday, I suppose, and we've got to celebrate it. So I'm singing with the Melbourne Mass Gospel Choir, which is pretty special.
Although Mental Health Week raises awareness for the issue, the music industry itself has not offered much support in mental health for musicians in the past. Heidi did not have much help within the sector as she dealt with her own problems, but times have now changed for the better.
It kind of comes in the territory, so there was nothing that I knew of. There's Entertainment Assist now, that's just launched last year, I think. That's really the first time that there's been a proper look at this between the music and mental health.
Entertainment Assist advocates for mental health in music and entertainment. General Manager Susan Cooper says their work helps start the conversation on the issue within the industry.
But we actually teach members of the industry what does depression look like, what does anxiety look like, and actually how to have the mental health conversation. And that's a really tough conversation to have, but giving people practical skills and actually how to have that conversation has made a marked improvement in workplaces.
But Susan believes the industry must work together to truly create change within the sector. Hence the creation of the Australian Alliance for Wellness in Entertainment.
Industry people really want to help each other, but just don't know how. So the Wellness Alliance is all about creating a platform where people can help each other. They can promote meetups, getting together, that sense of peer support, and encouraging conversations about mental health, because that's the key.
Across the country, more work is already being done for musicians in mental health. Sally Howland, who works with Sydney-based Support Act and APRA AMCOS, which deals with music creators, has been a part of it.
Organisations like APRA, they partnered with Support Act this year, and we did a series of mental health seminars. Other organisations such as Music Victoria here in Melbourne were doing workshops around mental health. Big Sound, the premier music event annually that's held in Brisbane, they started hosting panels on mental health.
The growing awareness in music towards mental health wasn't there when Heidi was facing her own problems. But she did find a way out, and she found support in a welcoming place led by a compassionate individual.
There was an answer to my struggles when I joined Wild at Heart. So Phil in particular, he's not wild at heart, but he's got a heart of wildness. And it's that kind of courage to go out there and meet people in their pain and their suffering and say, you know what, I've got you, you're okay. In all your mess and in all your disasters and in all your distress.
What the heck went wrong there?
Phil Hoytzenroder is the executive director of Wild at Heart, an arts organization that has always been willing to reach out to people no matter what problems they face.
We work with people who experience mental illness, people who experience disability, and I say more broadly, people who experience some sense of marginalisation. And so, what Wild at Heart does is provide a sense of place, a sense of community and belonging, making friendships and connections, as well as the creative and self-expressive work we do.
Like others who work to help musicians like Heidi through their troubled times, Phil is driven by a strong sense of purpose to create a positive impact.
We are all, as human beings, compelled by a desire to make something good of our lives in the world. There's something very deep in our human nature that wants to do that. And so I think at my core there is that motivation that I think many people share to do something good and something valuable in the world.
However, Phil also believes the music sector should do more to help musicians in mental health, especially during Mental Health Week.
My vision for Mental Health Week has always been that it should be 15,000 people in Federation Square with some amazing musicians, kind of uplifting a population and uplifting a conversation around mental illness. Because I think not only do the musicians and artists need that, the kind of coming together of that conversation and the benefits of it, but I think musicians and artists have an incredibly important role in that conversation in our society as well.
Although the industry must unite around this issue, positive changes in mental health should start with individuals.
We have to start caring for ourselves, and then through that, caring for our peers. So it sits with us. It doesn't sit with organisations. It doesn't sit with governments.
Heidi's first step in her own recovery was recognizing her issues. That proved to be her turning point.
You can go to gigs and you can drink alcohol and you can take drugs and you can sing your rock songs, but you're going home at the end of the day to an empty house, and you're going home to reality, and you're going home to your stories. You haven't gone anywhere. So it's time to look at yourself and say to yourself, do I need to go there with my past?
So where next for greater mental health awareness in the music sector? Sally says it's not just musicians that need help.
It's no good, for example, if APRA on its own does something. I mean, bearing in mind that APRA represents 90,000 songwriters. But what about the technicians? What about the roadies? What about the recording artists? So each sector of the business has to come together on a united front to go, this is what we're going to do to improve the environmental factors for the business and therefore provide safer working environments.
For Heidi, her lived experience with mental health issues as a musician made her into the passionate mental health advocate she is today. And she's confident that the future is bright for mental health in music.
We need some sort of drone to go up and just take a snapshot of what we're doing at the moment in mental health, because it's great. And I have firm belief that in 10 years' time, it's the people with lived experience and the artists and the musicians who are going to change things. Keep telling your stories. We're listening.